Brunson or Melo? Who's the greater Nick? Melo was gonna bring New York back, and then now Brunson sounds like he's like the new king of New York.
Melo never took New York to a conference final, so does Brunson just automatically take the crown right away by doing something he never did, which was the one caveat that Carmelo was always missing in his career.
Second round playoff edition. Just like we did in the first round, we came through, gave y'all some thoughts about the first round. That was a fun first round, right, Jay?
That was an amazing first round. I was hoping for more game sevens, but we'll take it.
You know, like we said, sometimes the first round drags on, but a lot of times once you get to the second round, that's when teams start to get the business. It's been a great start so far, but the way we're going to kick it off today is do something a little bit more fun. We're going to do a draft. We're going to draft a team of 6, so 5 starters, a 6th man, and a coach. We'll go back and forth, no duplicates, and it'll be a draft based on the players that are currently left in the NBA playoff right now. So, yeah, I know some of you are probably going to be like, why didn't you take that guy? He's amazing. Why didn't Wemby get drafted? Wemby's not here. We're dealing with the playoffs. So anybody we draft are people in the playoffs currently. So we did a coin flip. I won the coin flip, so I'm going to go first here. Pretty obvious. Anybody that knows me, if you've seen the clips, you watched it, you already know my first pick. It's obvious. It's going to be Anthony Edwards. I told y'all back on the Cinco Squad episode a couple of days ago that Anthony Edwards, that's what I'm starting the franchise with. So my franchise, you're damn right. I'm going to start with Anthony Edwards. The man plays both. He plays offense. He plays defense. He's young. He's a leader. There's no reason not to take Anthony Edwards when you want to start a team, especially based on the players who are left in this playoff. I know some people want to look at Jokic. I know some people want to look at Luka. But Anthony Edwards, this league is on the way to being his league. That's coming very soon. So I'm going to start with Anthony Edwards.
I can't not take the 3-time MVP, pretty much averaging a triple-double going into this second round series. So you just tough choice right here. Thanks for leaving the Joker on the table for me. I got to go at Nikolai Jokic here. There's no way if he's on the table as the second pick, I got to pass. If I pass on him, that's like the Knicks. I'm not the Knicks. That's like the Blazers not taking Carmelo Anthony back in there as a second pick. That's like the Bulls not taking Jordan as a second pick. So I'm going with the Joker. The guy's unstoppable on both ends. I mean, on the offensive side of the floor. Defensively, it's weird. Defensively, it's almost like he decides when to, and I think he's realizing against the Timberwolves he can't play that way, and they need him a lot more now. And let's see if he can carry that weight without Jamal Murray to support him in the same manner, because I think he's a little hobble. But I'm still taking the Joker with my first pick.
No, that's a good pick. I mean, I probably would have took him second if I was there. I mean, at the end of the day, the man is, he's a 3-time MVP for a reason. Anthony Edwards, don't worry, he'll get 3 or more at some point in his career.
He's going to be in that class.
Yeah, he's going to be in that class. I'm calling this early. If he don't get in that class, it's because you know how the NBA does.
I got a friend that says he has to be cautious of how he plays the game because he's kind of reckless like Iverson. I'm like, the guy probably has about 85 pounds of muscle on Iverson, so I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm not as worried because of what you said. Ant is built big. It's kind of the same thing with Jokic. Jokic has meat, so people just bounce that off him. And those are the type of guys who last for a long time. Ant is a football player. He's built like a football player. Speaking of people that are built with a little bit of meat, my second pick is going to be Luka Doncic. I know he moves at a different type of pace. I know he's unconventional at times, but I love to watch Luka play. It's so much fun to watch. He gets everybody involved in the game. Luka can shoot threes. We've seen him on the big stage, whether it was putting the Clippers out this year, where he put the Clippers out years ago. And finally, now he has a running mate with Kyrie, so it's a different ball game. But Luka, when the chips get tough, one thing we say about him is we have not watched series, looked at Luka and said, well, damn, the Mavericks didn't win because he didn't play. He's always stepped up. It's been a matter of waiting for a guy like Kyrie to show up to help take him to the next level. So I'm going to go with Luka second.
Call me a prisoner of the moment here, former Kentucky Wildcat. Yeah, Canada. You know I'm going with SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the reason why I'm going with him is I think he showed last night how much of a floor general he truly is for this very young core of players who seem to be almost on this magical run. Right? It kind of seems like the young OKC teams back in the day where you had your Hardens, you had your Westbrook, you had your Durant, and then, of course, Steven Adams and Serge Ibaka to complete that 5. It seems like they have a complete 5 like they did now, like they did then, and he is the floor general. 29-9 last night. They're unbeaten in the playoffs so far. The guy plays with this swag. He gets to the line a whole bunch, just like Luka does, and makes his free throws. So I'm going with SGA with my second pick.
I mean, SGA, that was my MVP pick. I
Mhm.
would have voted for him if I had an MVP vote for
Me
SGA
too.
this year. As good as Jokic was, I just thought it was SGA's year. For me, pick 3, I'm going to go with, I know it hasn't been the greatest playoff so far, but the guy's been there a lot. I'm going with Jason Tatum. The guy
Mhm.
is still young. He has a lot of playoff experience. I mean, a lot of playoff experience. Jason Tatum has played more playoff games than so many other guys who've been in the league for 15 plus years. And I got to figure I know there's something else to unlock. If Boston somehow figures out a way to win a championship this year, and we hear it all the time, that players find a different level to unlock once they win the championship. So I do think it's a different level with him still there. And I know the long running joke is always, but he's only 21. And I know he's not only 21 anymore, but the guy is still young. There is another level to unlock. He still plays defense. And even when he doesn't have his best night, he's still able to do other stuff on the floor.
So I got to go with the guy who's playing like a point shooting guard. And other than tonight, the guy was pretty much averaging 40 points a game for his last 5-6 games. That's Jalen Brunson. So if I got SGA running the point for me, I got Brunson playing off the ball so he can just catch and shoot, which he seems to be more comfortable doing. And I think if he doesn't have to create all the time as well, I think you start to see more of the floor open up for him if the two of them are playing on the same team. My goodness. SJ would be averaging 15 assists a game and Brunson would be at 35 points a game. So even though it's a small backcourt, one guy's unstoppable on the offensive end. One guy plays some dog defense. So I like them as a tandem guard combo to lead me to victory in the NBA playoffs.
No, I mean, I see what you do there. I mean, because SGA still has some height back there, so you're not going with the ultra small backcourt, which is always the issue with Brunson. For me, for the 4th pick, I'm going to go with a guy some people think going to play with Brunson next year. I don't think he'll play with him next year. I don't think it's the best fit, but I'm going to go with my guy in Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan's been on a hot streak. Right now, the reason they're probably going home from the Celtics, it ain't because of Donovan. Donovan's showing up. The problem is when he checks out the game, nobody else shows up. There was some time where I kind of earlier in the first round was looking at like, damn, you're going to need more from Mitchell. And eventually he just was like, you know what, fuck it. Team on back. We've seen that Mitchell play with the Jazz. We've seen that now with the Cavs. And it just reminded us that there was a reason why the Cavs were willing to give up so much to get Mitchell, because he is the type of guy that you can basically say, push it all in, give him the ball, and just say, 4th quarter's yours. Everybody else get the hell out the way. I got this. The problem for him right now, he doesn't have enough of a supporting cast, or people aren't stepping up right now. But I'm going to go with Mitchell on my 4th pick.
I love that. I think Donovan Mitchell dropping all the way down there to your 4th pick being 7 is ridiculous. I got 2 players here. It's a coin toss for me because I need a little more size here, even though he doesn't play big. I like the fact that I can have 3-point shooting from both of my big men and they can hit from anywhere.
Shit,
I'm going with Cat. And not because he's a former Kentucky Wildcat. Not because he's a former Kentucky Wildcat. If you look at what he's done in the playoffs in the closing game against Phoenix, 28-10 last night, in what may kind of some people won't agree with me, but I actually think Game 2 was a must-win for the Timberwolves because you didn't want to give the Nuggets momentum going back to Minnesota. Then they steal Game 3. Now Game 4 becomes a must-win at home for you because we know how easy the Nuggets can win 2 games in a row. So I think he was huge last night for the Timberwolves. In fact, Ant-Man was kind of deferring to him, and he kind of stepped up to he stepped up to the call. So I'm going to take Cat.
Cat has been impressive. He has a lot of, and we all were critical of Cat, but most of it deservedly so. But it's been an impressive playoffs for him. So he seemed like a good guy. So I'm glad he's actually been able to turn this around. I got to get a big out here. So you got Jokic. I got to go with the guys that giving Jokic problems. I got to go with Gobert.
Oh, he did Gobert run.
Yep, defensive player of the year again. I got out of offense on the team, so I don't need that. I need a guy to go out there and just bang. And at that point, somebody got to go rough up Jokic. So I know Gobert's going to get blocks. I know he's going to make it more difficult for anybody to go to the paint. You're going to at least think about it. Whether you like Rudy Gobert or not, you're going to think about it going to that paint because he does control that whole situation. That perimeter movement is crazy. And, yeah, the guy still has some left in the tank. I mean, Rudy's been in the league for a minute now, but he's still giving you hella good minutes on the defensive end right now.
He is. He definitely is.
How you round out your starters?
I'm a throw a little curve at you here because even though I went super small in my backcourt, I'm going super big in my front court. Give me Chet Holmgren. I love his energy right now. Give me someone who is going to be a madman around the rim. The guy plays reckless around the rim, and I love it. He can challenge almost any shot. So if I got him, and he can also make any shot. The guy can shoot threes as well. So I got 3 big men that can hit from outside, and I got 2 guards that love to shoot the ball. So I got 5 players on the court that can hit threes at will. You know that's today's NBA. So I love my starting 5, given that any one of those guys can step up and hit a 3, and it's not going to be like it was a bad shot if they take it.
No, I see what you did there. You get to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most of my team can shoot a little bit, except for Gobert, but you get to stretch big. That makes it. It's Gobert can't shoot for 8 feet. But I mean, that does bring an interesting element because I mean, at this point, I had to have Tatum check and check, which is not an ideal matchup for Tatum. But at the same time, for Chet, he can move around a little bit, so that gets a little bit tricky. So I need a fire starter to come off the bench. I don't mind if this guy's small, but I do know if this guy hit one of the biggest shots in NBA Finals history, I'm going Kyrie. Kyrie has been basically, since he's basically got here with the Mavericks, we've unlocked the Kyrie that used to play with LeBron. You know, the thing is, sometimes people used to compare LeBron and Luka a lot, and that was the best version of Kyrie got. Now we got that guy again, and Kyrie's just a fucking issue when he gets out there.
Yeah,
best handler in the league, best finisher in the league. And honestly, this has been a more mature Kyrie we've gotten. So, can you imagine if you had Kyrie coming off the bench with a lineup like this and say, all right, Kyrie, I just need you to go out there and give me 20 minutes. Let's go out there, shoot, and run the second game. I'm not even asking him to go play great defense. And Kyrie's defense has gotten better.
He's prided himself on that in these playoffs for sure.
Yeah, Kyrie's gotten better on all those levels. So, yeah, I'm around on my stars with Kyrie.
I can't think of a better person you could probably bring off the bench right now because the guy has that championship DNA in him. But to me, I love what Derek White is doing in these playoffs. I think Derek White is probably the X factor Boston needed to take them over that edge. Because if right now, whether Tatum or Brown is off, he's giving you the 25 that you need. If one of them isn't getting 20, so he's right there as their third scorer, averaging 25. I think the guy's had over 23s in his last 3 games. But I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment just yet. And even though I love myself some Jalen Williams, I can't leave your favorite player. You want to go ahead and say his name for me? Go on now. You said the cat can't even dribble. Jalen Brown. How can I leave an NBA All-Star?
I'm like Carmelo Anthony.
Out of this, man. Give me Jalen Brown coming off the bench. Are you kidding me? I got Jalen Brown coming off the bench. Come on, man. You can't beat my squad, Trey. You know you can't beat that squad.
No, Brown. I mean, Brown's a dog, and I will say Brown has one thing about Brown is even when Tatum doesn't show up, it's kind of crazy because it's like you'll have nights they both show up. You have a night with one of them, but never both don't show up. Even back to the finals, like I remember Brown having a couple of good games when Tatum disappeared on that Warriors series, but then Draymond got in his head, and once again Jalen couldn't dribble. But it's been a lot of games in this playoffs where Jalen Brown has put up 30. I mean, he went to game 1 and put up 32, and he basically dueled with Mitchell. It wasn't Tatum dueling with Mitchell, and Jalen Brown dueling with Mitchell. And Brown could check multiple positions. So, I mean, I get your point there. We got to round this out, though. We do need coaches. Somebody's got to coach this team. For me, guys already done this before. I know his team probably isn't going to go that much further, but I'm going Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle's already been to a championship, and not a team nearly as talented as this team. Rick Carlisle at times gets underrated. He's moved around. I mean, whether it was Indiana, whether it was the Pistons here, Rick Carlisle has always been an elite coach. Right now, the Pacers still got some time to go, and I think as long as he stays there with them, and you got Halliburton, you got Siakam, and they'll probably add some more pieces. And then remember, Siakam came in midway through the season, so now you get a whole training camp with them next year. I think the Pacers got something to go, but especially behind Rick Carlisle, just knowing the way he coaches the team.
And I like your point there, and I would go with Mike Malone because I think having that chip on your shoulder, knowing you could win a title, and having someone on the bench would be a great person to have there. I just love what Chris Finch has done with the Timberwolves. I have a lot of respect for him. Everybody said that this wouldn't work. Everybody said this couldn't work. Everybody laughed at the fact that you're going to tandem Gobert and Cat together. Zero offense, all defense, zero defense, all offense. Okay, you kind of get the idea, but they thought they couldn't coexist, and he's proved everybody wrong. On top of that, I love the fact that he freaking ripped Jamal Murray a new one for that nonsense that he did, throw in the towel and whatever else on the court. I mean, you literally could have got suspended, and that might have cost your team the series had you got suspended and they blew you out in game 3. You got to think to yourself, you have to be more mature than that. You're a defending NBA champ. You're an NBA All-Star. It's not like you're a rookie or a second-year player. You've been in the league for 6, 7 years, more, 8 years. I mean, come on, Jamal. Come on, Jamal. You can't do that. So I love the fact that he ripped him a new one. Publicly, it wasn't any cookie cutter. Basically, hey, you could have cost us game 3 with your asinine antics. Get your act together here. So I love him calling out one of his all-stars, and I just like his style. He's intense. He's coached these guys to play intense defense. This team's scary, and I like what he's done for their mentality, and I like what he's done to the rest of the league to say, hey, I don't give a shit what y'all have to say. I'm going to prove you wrong, and we will prove everybody wrong. We're going to win.
So you're going Finch for your coach?
Finch.
Okay, so we're going Chris Finch. All right, so I'll read it back real quick. For my squad, I got Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, with Kyrie coming off the bench, and Rick Carlisle as the coach. For Grandpa J team, we have Jokic, SGA, Jalen Brunson, Cat, Chet Holmgren. We have Jalen Brown coming off the bench, and we have him as the head coach. So y'all let us know in the comments. Is my team, and we know my team was better, but is my team better? Team TreyDay or Team Grandpa J? Who do you have as the better squad here from our remaining players in the playoffs? It was really interesting that first round. We watched the Cavs and Magic where they had a series where the Cavs won all their home games, the Magic won all their home games. Then we get to the second round, we watch Denver basically not defend their home court. The Timberwolves come in, take both games at home against them. So I'm like really confused on, does home court matter in the playoffs or does it not? Because I'm really having a hard time gauging. How do you feel about home court in the playoffs?
Well, if we look recently at what home court has meant, it hasn't meant that much in game 7s. Yes, we know Cleveland pulled away from the Magic and won, but last year Miami goes into Boston, wins this game 7 in Boston. That's a conference final game, by the way. That takes them to the NBA Finals. And then Golden State knocks out Sacramento in Sacramento last year in game 7. And then that's in 2022. Boston takes out Miami at home in a game 7. And then in 2022, again, Dallas takes out Phoenix at home. And then if you go back a couple years prior to that, Atlanta takes out Philly at home in 2021. So, and the Bucks take out Brooklyn at home in the Barclays Center. So it seems as though game 7 doesn't mean the same anymore as of recently. Past 3-4 years in the playoffs, it hasn't done much in game 7. And that's what you say to yourself is, well, at least if it goes to 7, we have home court advantage.
Right.
It hasn't seemed to help the team. So you figure should be the ones happy to have home court and take full advantage of that. It hasn't really come to fruition over these past couple of years. So I think teams have just gotten tough in the NBA where it's like, nah, it's not a guarantee. I'm going to beat you in your house, and I dare you to do something about it because that's what we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing, too, because I do remember as a kid, like, it was a really big deal for somebody to go win game 7 on the road. But, like, I remember going back to like, the Cavs playing the Warriors. They walked right into Oracle and basically shut the arena down. That was damn near the end of Oracle Arena. They go in, they beat them in Golden State. Then, like, last year, you said Boston, they lost at home. And actually one of those arenas where you look at like, you don't go into Boston and beat Boston there. I remember thinking
they had a losing record at home in the playoffs last year. That's what was crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. And I even remember a few years ago, Trae Young is going to the Garden. It's like, man, you got Spike Lee on the first row. You got all these other celebrities. You got these crazy fans. And you don't go into the Garden and finish, but Trae Young's out here not been in the playoffs, throwing choke signs up and basically talking about ice veins and doing all that stuff and like trolling them. I think in this generation, when you got a lot of these younger dudes, but they like to be trolls. They enjoy this. You got some of these guys who I think they genuinely enjoy going on the road more than they like playing at home. See, I was kind of thinking about this too, and I don't really have an answer, but maybe you do. Of who do you think has the best home court advantage right now? Because I thought for a second the Nuggets did with altitude, but the Timberwolves look like they could walk in there. I used to think the Knicks did and the Celtics did, but I've seen people go in there. Something I've even noticed for like a Boston lately is when it gets tight because they've had so much expectation in the Tatum and Brown era, it's like the players get tight because they feel a tightness from the crowd. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I think teams will play lighter when they actually on the road because they don't have like the guy in the first row who's like, you see like biting his fingernails and some kid crying like, oh my God, I can't believe we're losing our lead. Like that, like, I don't know. Sometimes, not that you don't want to be at home because I do think the refs do give a little more better whistles when you're at home.
Always.
Yeah, and that's the one advantage of being home is that ref feels those 20,000 people and they're ready to boo him, ready to throw shit at him, and then they kind of calm down. But for the players themselves, I just don't know if home court is the same. I mean, do you have an opinion on who you think has the best home court right now?
Yeah, I do. And you're 100% right where based on what happened last year, Boston is going to play with their booty cheeks clenched come if any series seems to be 2-2 and it may be a shot where they have to win 5 and 7, they might be in trouble because they haven't done that over the past couple of seasons. However, if we look from a record standpoint, they do have 40 wins at home already this year. They only lost 3 or 4 games at home for the entire year. So I think they figured the home court thing out, but it's left to be seen in the playoffs. The one team I think that truly has it is the team with the next most wins in the playoffs at home right now, and that's the Thunder. And the reason why is these young cats have nothing to lose. They say, Boston, you're the 1 seed. You messed up last year. You messed up against Golden State because you were the better team in that series as well. You could have had 2 titles going for a three-peat right now. Well, that's not the case. So you have to win right now. It's like you can't mess up again this year. It's yours. You're the 1 seed by far. You're the best team by far in the league. You have to win. You have to at least get to the finals. OKC is like, oh, wait, the Thunder are the 1 seed in the West? Oh, these young cats, it doesn't matter if they get beat as the 1 seed because this is their first time playing together. And it's a whole different language when it comes to them. And they're playing loose because they don't have that expectation to win as the 1 seed like Boston. So to me, it's the Thunder.
Yeah, you may have talked me into it because OKC does have it. Even back in the Westbrook, Durant, Harden years, they always have one of the best home crowds. But it's like that crowd is hungry because they haven't had it lately. And you can kind of sense that, like the last year Durant was there when they were playing the Warriors, you can kind of sense the crowd was a little more tense because it was like, if we don't win this, Durant may leave. And then, you start taking those things for granted because that OKC, that bunch of fans, they were watching every year the team going to conference championship, going to NBA finals, going deep in the playoffs. You take it for granted, then you lose it. And then when you finally get a shot back, you're like on fire because you're like, it's like the woman who left you and she comes back. You're like, I'm going to do everything to get this right now. I'm going to do good. Now I got or you get a new woman in your life. You're like, I fucked up the last time I had a good woman and she left. Now I got a second shot at love. I better make sure I don't fuck this up. And I feel like that's what those fans are at up there in Oklahoma City now because they seem really appreciative of this bunch of players right now. And that's fun to watch. Them actually, revitalizing that stadium out there.
Oh, yeah.
But,
let's give a little shout out to the OKC Thunder.
Definitely shout out to the OKC. Shout out to their fans. That's always a fun arena to watch. And, shout out to that youth. Okay, so we are at the point now where we've seen a little bit of every series. We still got a ways to go. This isn't necessarily your prediction. This is what you would want. In the Eastern Conference Finals, who would you want to be the Eastern Conference Finals matchup based on where we're at right now? If you could pick.
I want to see Brunson go up against Boston and stick it to him and score 46 and steal game 1 or game 2 in Boston. And then maybe try and do it again in game 5. I really think the guy is kind of on this special run right now. We saw him a little gimpy last night against the Pacers. Hopefully that doesn't linger. Maybe it's obviously fatigue because he's played he's averaging like 44 or 45 minutes a game in typical freaking Thibodeau style. It's like, get your freaking players to manage minutes, Thibodeau. Manage the minutes. Do something about it here because guess what? You might be making a run to the finals, so don't think this is it. And so you just throw everything out in the kitchen sink and hopefully we make it to the next round. No, you're the favorites to get to the next round. Do something right here. I know they're thin. They're injured once again. Another front court player goes down. So it's not like he has as much depth and plays with it anyway. But I want to see Brunson get to the conference finals and stick it to Boston at least once.
Josh Hart has played, I think, either 3 or 4 games in his playoffs for 48 minutes total of an entire complete game.
But for him, it's nothing. He just shakes it off like, I'm good. He's fit.
It's just, but it's still, and the thing is, he seems to be like, all right, I'm going to keep shaking this off. But it's like eventually that shit got to add up. I remember like when he did, with like Jimmy Butler, where eventually he added up when he did Jimmy Butler back when he played on the Bulls before. I think for me, it's the same matchup. I mean, I would love for the Cavs to go ahead and be Boston. I don't honestly see that happening, especially based on what we saw in game 1. But I don't really see that happening. But another factor, if Boston plays New York, is hopefully Porzingis can come back because I want to see Porzingis go back into the Garden and now say, I'm coming back. Y'all were sick. Y'all cast me off. Now I'm coming back to make sure y'all don't make the finals. Awesome. I would love to see that storyline. The crazy part about it is New York and Boston have always been kind of like a rivalry thing. You go by like Yankees, Red Sox, the two cities. But somehow, weirdly enough, we don't have that many Knicks Celtics moments because those teams never seen them. When the Celtics were always good, and they have been more, the Knicks weren't. And the one time the Celtics were kind of down in the 70s is when the Knicks actually were winning rings was in the 70s. So it's kind of weird that we don't have this storied history. Like Boston has more of a rivalry with Philly when it comes to the NBA. So it's kind of crazy, but I would love to see that matchup. On the other side, I guess, as we're here, going to actually, you know what? Quick question. We just talked a lot about Brunson. This is kind of coming up. Brunson or Melo? Who's the greater Nick? I've been seeing it online. The talk has been back and forth. You know, Melo was gonna bring New York back, and then now Brunson shows up, and he's like the new king of New York.
Melo never took New York to a conference final. So does Brunson just automatically take the crown right away by doing something he never did, which was the one caveat that Carmelo was always missing in his career? I think he had. Did he go? He didn't go. Did he go once with Denver? He never went to the conference finals, did he?
He did.
As
they played the Lakers.
Denver?
They played the Lakers. The Lakers beat. It was the year the Lakers played the Magic in the finals that year. That was the one time.
That Dwight Howard fluke year.
Yeah,
Well, I shouldn't say fluke, but the year Dwight Howard pretty much owned the Eastern Conference and most of the league except for the Lakers. Yeah, interesting. Man, I ain't gonna do Melo like that. Nah, I ain't gonna do Melo like that. Not yet. Melo for now. Not yet.
Oh no, man! If he gets to the conference finals, man, it might be Brunson. Like I'm like it. The energy in New York feels different to me with this run. Even that year when Melo was there and they had J.R. Smith and those guys, and that was like a fun with Amari and them before Amari got hurt. That was a fun team. But it's something about that Brunson. It's like, I don't know, the way I see the New York people and I listen to them talk, man, it's like they got a
Wasn't your boy from Cleveland on that team too? What's his name? Not JR. I always forget his name. The other off guard.
Shumpert?
Thank you. Yeah.
Jumper. Yeah, all of them were there. Yeah, all of them were there still.
They're very similar. It's a very similar team in terms of how it was built, with some pretty kind of guards. Yeah.
Brunson's smaller, but it's a similar thing where basically you have Melo and you got a bunch of guys who can kind of shoot and some toughness out there, and then you go on the other end and you say, all right, we got Melo, a bunch of guys who shoot. So I felt like we're watching almost the same type of thing. But it's just something I think, especially about the little guy who comes in and does this, and you're like, all right, this guy's a badass. He's the smallest guy on the court. He's kicking everybody's ass. And it's something I think even for New York with this specific team, Thibs, and then they bring a different type of like grittiness. And this just feels like this feels like New York in the 90s when I think about it. No offense to New York now. I ain't saying New York got soft or anything. But the New York in the 90s, when I look about this team, I expect Josh Hart to almost show up with Tim's on. Like,
yeah.
If you showed up tomorrow and said Josh Hart got to deal with Timberland, I would be.
I want to see DiVincenzo as the Tim's guy.
Or you put Dante in some Tim's, whatever. Like, I can see. Yeah. And it's crazy because you build him with a bunch of Philly guys, but this New York team has a different thing. It's just something, I don't know, Brunson has a different type of confidence out there. And I don't know if they make the conference finals. I may have to say Brunson's a greater Nick than Melo. And
you see him fucking with Kenny in his post-game interview after they beat the Sixers.
Yeah,
What's up, Kenny? Go Cats.
Yeah, he said go. Yeah. No, Kenny was not trying to hear that shit at all. But yeah, I don't know. It's for me. Yeah, I think Eastern Conference Finals, Brunson becomes a greater Nick than Melo, and I think they are going to end up going out to Eastern Conference Finals. Since we're here though. Western Conference Finals. I know for me, I want to see the Wolves play the Thunder. I said this before they got 2-0 because the future's now. This is where the NBA is at. Don't get me wrong. Jokic is a fun player to watch. He's fun. But I would just love to watch SGA, who was second MVP, going against Ant-Man. Those are two people who are probably going to be future MVPs. At this point, don't be shocked if SGA and Edwards ends up becoming like a rivalry, and this might be the start of it. So I do want to watch that. You got these young guys. Chet Holmgren has a personality, so you get to watch him. Him versus Towns, that'd be interesting. Or him versus Gobert, that would be fun. You got coaches who kind of are on the up end. These are coaches who people aren't really looking at. They aren't retreads. This isn't their fourth stop. They aren't doing Doc Rivers where they've coached all over. You got a lot of new faces, so I do want to see if the Wolves can play with the future versus OKC. That to me would be the best for the NBA because you can create two new teams to throw in that bunch going forward. LeBron, Steph, KD. They all these guys are gone for in the first round. We got to start getting our next generation ready. And that Western Conference Finals, if it's that, it gets us ready for the future.
Because
the other thing, too, really quick.
Yeah.
I love the way Ant has led the Timberwolves, the way they have came together as a team.
Yes.
And I love the way that OKC teams came together. Every time when they do that post game and they all get together, they're like, hold on a second. All the team ain't here.
Well, it doesn't matter who. You want to talk to me? My whole squad's here. You want to talk to him? All right, come in the middle. The whole
you don't
squad's
talk
here.
to any of us without us being a team. And both of those teams had that type of mentality, and that is one of the fun things. Like, I'm gonna hate eventually somebody's gonna leave the free agency, like from that OKC team, because somebody get paid. It's gonna suck. Like they're gonna be crying having to leave, but you're gonna have to take the bag. Yeah. So who would you like to see as your Western Conference Finals?
So I feel like we will get Minnesota and OKC a couple of times in the next 4 to 5 years. I think we're going to get them a couple of times. I don't think we're going to have another shot at Luka and Jokic and their teams playing each other in the conference finals anytime soon. I think this is the best year for it. I just think that Denver's going to get old quicker than people think. And who knows how long the Kyrie Luka thing can work out, given that Kyrie obviously has some tread on his tires. He was even talking about him being the oldest player left in the playoffs or something like that in the second round. So we don't know how long it's going to last for. I know it's crazy, right? We don't know how long it's going to last for. So it's like, you know what? Since I don't know how much longer we might have this, I just want to see that matchup because I think the Kyrie, Luka, Derek Lively, insane athleticism against Michael Porter, Jamal Murray, KCP, just that matchup, not even throwing Joker in the mix there. Just those three against those three, I think, is a lot of excitement with those players going at it. And then now you have that X factor of Jokic being in there. Like, who the hell can slow down the Joker? And nobody has proven that they can slow him down. Yet they may seem like they've slowed the pace down in terms of him dictating the pace of the game. But he's still doing what he wants at will whenever he wants to get it. So for me, just because I don't think we're going to see it again, and I'd like to see it once, I want to see Dallas go at Denver, which I don't think both those teams win, but I would like to see that matchup.
No, I mean, it would be interesting. And I get your point, though, because you're like, it's kind of like how we didn't get the Kobe versus LeBron finals. Everybody wanted. So, like, you better capitalize when you got a shot because who knows what else happens. It would be fire. So, like, even seeing like Kyrie versus Murray, knowing that both of these two are like two of the better fourth quarter closers, having to go battle it out. Honestly, KCP is one of the better defenders in the league. Him having to go check Luka, but then KCP maybe at times having to go check Kyrie. Like that would be interesting. And then even for the centers, like you said, Lively and some of these guys are a different type of athleticism that go against Jokic, and they can throw just random bodies at him to make it like, you're not going to stop him at the end of the day.
Yeah, Gafford won't stop him, but Gafford's tough.
But yeah, just being able to throw like Gafford and throwing these different bodies at him would be, it would be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to that if we ended up.
I'd love seeing Luka goes down, hits a three. Here comes Michael Porter. Kyrie go down, hit a three. Here goes Jokic, hits a three. I think that series would just be boom, just big play after big play. Yep.
Yeah, it'd be threes raining if it was that series. But I mean, like we said, the second round ultimately it's going to be fun. We got a lot more basketball left. We'll still be here talking a lot more basketball. Hey, we'll post up. We'll put our teams online. Make sure everybody goes out, try to vote. Tell us who has the better team. What would you have done different? Is there somebody on the board we didn't draft that you would have? I mean, we didn't draft Murray. We didn't draft Siakam. Derek White was on the board. Jalen Williams was on the board. Porzingis was on the board. We had a lot of names still on the board, which just tells you
Tyrese Halliburton's on the board. Nobody considered him.
Yep. There was a lot of talent still left because the NBA is in a great place. But we'll be here. We'll do this again when we get to the conference finals. In between time, we'll still be dropping videos. You'll see us on the regular Cinco Squad show. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, a lot more content coming out.